Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to the Adobe XD Daily Creative Challenge. My name is Howard Pinsky, Senior XD Evangelist here at Adobe, and I hope you're all doing well on this Friday afternoon. We made it through the week. Very excited. If you are tuning in live here on Behance, let me know who you are and where you're tuning in from. If you're on YouTube, head on over to behance.net/Adobe Live so we can chat along together. Tia and MD and Joe and Anahit and Aaron and Cornell and Ariana, Diego and Faisal. Great to see all of you. Hey Sam, welcome. Hope you're all having a great Friday. Hope you're all excited for the weekend. Ariana says, hello again, Howard. Yeah, feels like I was just streaming not too long ago, about an hour ago. I'm back. So head on over to behance.net/challenge/XD. You're going to get all the information about these daily challenges. Now, this one is unfortunately coming to an end today. However, we have a new challenge starting just next week, which is going to be super exciting. We do these all the time. So if you're new to this and you're getting ready for next week's challenge, let me talk a little bit about how this works. Every single day you're going to receive a challenge, Monday to Friday, except the first Monday. That's more of an intro stream. You can join us in our community chat. So if I hop over here to Discord, here's Discord. We have about 50,000 designers signed up in our server, which is fantastic. A lot of great people. You can get all the information about the daily challenges. You can talk about XD. You can ask questions, get portfolio reviews. But more importantly, you can also submit your work so we can take a look at it. We have some great mentors and moderators in there looking at your work and giving feedback all the time. Joss is in here actually right now. He's typing as I speak. I see you, Joss, giving feedback, and he's fantastic. Everyone's fantastic. You can also watch us live. XD Daily Challenge is live at 2 o'clock Pacific time, Monday to Friday. We also have a lot of shows going on all day, every day. You will be missed. Thank you, Faisal. I appreciate that. But I'll be back at some point. Of course, I have my masterclasses every Friday at noon Pacific time as well. And you can share your work. So I just showed you how to share it on Discord. You can also share it on Behance using the keyword XD Daily Challenge. Let's talk a little bit about what we've done so far over the course of the 2 weeks. Last week, we started out with a web experience. We built out a landing page, a live support chat widget, features overview using stacks, and a sign-in and sign-up experience at the bottom of the page using anchor links. This week, we tackled the mobile experience. We built out the home screen, scrollable charts using scroll groups, the payment experience using auto animate. Yesterday, we tackled the wallet using repeat grids and a few plugins. And today, we're going to be looking at a user profile. Cornell is asking, will there be more Facebook streams? Absolutely. There definitely will be. Stay tuned for that. Facebook.com/Adobe XD. All right. Hopping over to Facebook. And here is where we are for this week. So if you haven't been working on this week's challenges, you can definitely grab the starter file. And this is approximately what you're going to get. There's some inspiration right over here, and we've got our template right over here to the right. And this is what we've tackled this week. So again, we have our home screen with our scrollable charts. We've got our payment experience, which I think is on this artboard. Goes on up. And we have our transactions using scroll groups as well. All right, Aaron's catching up on the masterclasses right now. Thank you, Aaron. I appreciate that. So today we're going to be building out a portfolio. Now, typically an application like this probably wouldn't have a portfolio in it or some sort of a user profile menu type of thing. But you know what? We're going to run with it and see what happens, right? So to make my life a little bit easier, I'm going to duplicate this artboard that we already have over to the right. Boop. And some of this information we probably won't need, right? We probably don't need all of this information at the top. We may not need transactions. We may not need the search icon. We may need this, but for now, we're gonna just get rid of it. We're gonna start fairly fresh. Now, this area in the background, we may want to actually use as a profile photo. So I'm gonna hop over to Finder, and I've got some photos in this folder here. And if you've watched my streams before, you know, for whatever reason, I loved using this photo. The guy's got a great beard. It's a great bright color, so I'm going to use it again. Boop, just pop it in there. I can make this a little bit larger if I wanted to. And now I can go ahead and just tweak some of these elements right over here, just so they match. There was something else over there, but that's okay. We don't need it. All right, so we have that looking pretty good. I can drag this down a touch. We also have a shadow in here, which we may not need, or we can bump it up even more. Maybe, we'll see. We'll see how that looks. We're gonna play this by ear. Now, the next thing we may need is Beard Man, there we go. We need some sort of maybe a card above here to DJ Mustard. I like that, Sam. Well played. Maybe we want a card just to show the person's name and maybe a description and then some actions that you can take when you're visiting this person's profile. And of course, if this is your profile you're designing, maybe the actions are a little bit different. But let's run with this. So we're going to drag this out just like this, position it in the center of the artboard, and round at the corners to match the rest of the design. Cornell says, yeah, photo of this guy fits almost everywhere, doesn't he? I've used him in music applications. I've used him in cryptocurrency applications, podcasting. I don't know who this guy is, but I like you. I like you, guy. All right, so we've got our box here. Now there's two ways we can go about this, right? We could go ahead. He does remind me of Peter Del Tondo. You're right, Juhi. I think Peter's going to be hosting next week. So we could go ahead and add a shadow to this particular box. And I'm not going to go into my spiel about shadows today, but you could do something like this, right? And that looks okay. You can even add a little bit of color in there if you wanted to. Doesn't look too bad. Doesn't look fantastic, but you know, it could work, right? It definitely separates the white box from the white background. Or if we really want to start adding some color like we've been doing throughout the entire application, we can use our eyedropper and just sample our lovely purple. Boop, just like that. That looks okay, right? Maybe want to add a bit of a background blur because we want to get fancy on Friday, right? Fancy Friday, as Cody says. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on background blur over to the left. I'm not sure if this is going to look very good. Now, by default, it basically sucks all the color out of your image or your shape, right? And you can adjust these settings at the very bottom right-hand corner. Now my head's kind of in the way, so I'll keep it right about there. This is the blur amount, so if you drop it, it's gonna blur very little. And if you bump it up, it's gonna basically blur everything, right? Just wanna drop it just so a little bit of his beard seeps through, just so we don't lose it. And we can also adjust the brightness, so this is very bright and this is very dark. But you also have this value down here, which is your transparency, I believe, right? If I hover over it, it is effect opacity. That's the one. And this will essentially bring back some of that color. So I can bump this up. So we have a little bit of that purple coming in. Then we can also adjust, the brightness to make it a little bit darker. So we have a little bit of background blur at the top there. So his, again, his beard is seeping through, which looks kind of fun. We'll see. We'll see how things go. Of course, when you're working with background blurs, you want to be careful because, when you start adding content, there could be a lot of clashing going on. So keep an eye on it. But I think, if you go subtle with your background blurs, very similar to shadows, I think it could work. All right, so inside this box, we may want some information. Maybe at the top, we want this guy's name. So Brad Beardman. I can't spell today. There we go. I can't spell any day. All right, we're gonna go with that. And we've got the Babus New Pro typeface selected, which I think could work in this situation. We're also using the expanded bold. So it's not, if I were to go to the regular one, which is super condensed, it may look a little bit off, but the expanded bold looks like it could work, right? So I'll position that about 16 pixels from the top. Pixels, not pickles. And maybe down here, we might just want his username. This could just be Beardman. And for this one, this is sort of secondary information. So I'm going to drop the size, and also I'm going to drop the weight as well. Let's try middle. Let's see how that looks. That looks okay. Not bad. It might be a little bit small though. So maybe I'll just bump this up a little bit and bump this up a touch as well. Okay. Oops. And I'll move this down just a bit. It could work. All right. Let's run with that. I'm also going to give it a bit more breathing room at the top. Now, Over here, we might want a little bit of a description about who pickles would be an odd unit of measure. I agree. Might want a little bit of a description about who this guy is. So I'm going to change this over to area text and just bring this out a touch and bring it down. I think that's a new sound effect. All right. Let's see. All around great guy and even better beard. There we go. We've got a description. Perfect. All right. So description's out of the way. Now there are two more areas we might want. We might want to show, very similar to Vimeo, be able to add this person as a friend, see how many friends they have, and then of course, request payments and send payments. Let's start with the big buttons. So we want to be able to request a payment. So I'm going to drag out a button like this. And of course, if you've been participating in this challenge, you probably already have buttons in your assets panel. Bring one of those in if you want to. But I'm going to go ahead and do this. And I'll keep the white as the background color. And let's go ahead and just type out request. Oop, I can't see it. Oop. There we go. I'm going to make this nice and bold, like super bold. Make it a little bit larger. There we go. That looks okay, right? I think so. And we're going to go ahead and put this into a group, or if you already have a component, you can definitely use your components. Command and Control G for a group. I'm going to call this button, or Command and Control K for a component. And I'm going to turn on padding over to the left within the over to the right within the properties inspector. And it's going to automatically determine the padding around your button. But of course, if you want, let's say 24 pixels on each side, again, not pickles, but pixels, you can do that. And now if I duplicate this over and I type, let's say, pay, it'll automatically change, right? Beautiful. Now, I might want for this one, possibly maybe a border-based button. So I'm going to do that, turn off the fill, and just change the color of the type to white. All right, let's go about 16 pixels in between. Oops. Select both of those and center them. Beautiful. All right. So now the final thing we want is the ability to add this person as a friend and also see how many friends they have. So I'm going to grab one of these. Let's go for add friend. We probably don't need this to be all caps. My caps lock is on. Add friend. That looks pretty good. Maybe we'll bump this up to... No, we don't want to go... I think that's fine. That could work. And now I want just a very simple outline around here. And maybe I'll just change the border radius to about 4 pixels. All right. Stretch this out a little bit. And we can do the exact same thing that we did for, I'm going to make this a little bit smaller actually. The exact same thing we can do for the button. So I'm going to select both of these, group them, and I'm going to turn on padding. I selected something I shouldn't have selected. What did I do? Group, that's better. Nope, that's not better. What did I do? Oh, I see what happened. There we go. So I had the text layer below the rectangle, which completely threw everything off because you can't really have padding on that. So make sure that your background layer is at the background, right? At the bottom. So that works. And I can duplicate this over and I can just say 16 friends. And maybe for these ones, I might want to just drop the opacity of the border just a little bit. Maybe we'll just go for 1 pixel. All right. Squeeze this in a little bit and center it. It looks okay. I'd probably actually maybe bump the space. Let's go for 32 pixels. Just so we can fill out this space a little bit. All right, let's put this in the center. It could work. I would probably need a little bit more breathing room, to be honest. So I'm just gonna drag this down and just reposition some of these things so we have a little bit more. These ones over here, and again, this is why you probably wanna use components, unlike what I'm doing, is I can just dive in here and make these a little bit smaller. If I use components, they would automatically update all of them. But I'm a terrible designer, so there you go. All right. That's looking a little bit better. Yeah, Sarah's right. It does look a little bit crowded, and that's kind of why I'm trying to make it breathe just a little bit, but it's still a bit crowded. I would argue that you probably don't need a description in your profiles. You may not, but we're going to run with that. All right. So I would definitely encourage all of you to make things breathe a little bit so they're not as crowded as this. So what we want to do now is down below, maybe there's an area that shows the person's payments. And to make our life a little bit easier, I'm actually just going to grab the transactions that we created yesterday, copy them, and paste them on our new artboard and just move them down a little bit. Now I do want to make sure that the navigation bar is right up at the top of my layer stack. And then, if you're familiar with Venmo, did I say Vimeo earlier? If you're familiar with Venmo, they have, on profiles, you can see public payments. You can also see maybe payments between you and that other person. So what I'm going to do here is just to cheat a little bit, I'm going to copy this text layer and paste it right about there. There we go. Nina's saying, suggestion, change add friend to an icon. Ooh, that's a good suggestion. I might get to that. So this could be the public payments. And then over here, let's say this might be mutual, for example. Payments between maybe that person and your friends, or maybe you and that person, something to that extent. And then below this, I might just want a little line just to indicate what we're on. It also keeps a little bit of consistency. If you remember actually I can play this, over here, we have this line as well, right? And I think we also added one under receive. I don't know where it went, but we added one there. So just to keep consistency, we're going to add a line, bump that up a little bit. And there is public. Perfect. All right. It's a little bit small, so I might just make it a little bit larger. And that was 25. I can probably go for a nice even 24. 24. Line that up. Grab the line. Perfect. Okay. So these are looking pretty good. They're nice and centered in the middle of my document. I'll make sure to group all of these. And now, ideally, when someone clicks on mutual, it would switch over to different transactions. And when someone clicks on public, it would switch over as well. And we do have a little bit of time, so I can show you how that's going to work. We also have our scrollable feed right here, right? I'm going to adjust this. Perfect. Okay, so what we can do now, and what I can do is grab the group here and also grab the transactions. And I want to make a component so that we can show different transactions when you switch over to mutual, switch back over to public. So I'm going to grab the scroll group and just duplicate this over for now. Now, it did go off the artboard, and that's by design because I did drag it off the artboard. But what I want to do is go into the transactions repeat grid. And you remember yesterday we used the Google Sheets plugin. So I'm going to go back to that. And I'm going to paste a public URL. It does still have the one from yesterday. Hey Sam, welcome. Thank you for the compliment on the lovely colors. I'm big into colors lately. So what I'm going to do now is just for this one, I have the repeat grid selected and I'm going to randomize the content just to put some new faces in there. And of course I can dive in here and let's say this is, I'm going to put Sam. I'm just going to read off some names. We've got Richard and we've got Harshal. And who else do we have in here? Sarah. Right? And this might be ice cream. I can go for some ice cream right now. And rent. All right. So we've got all these set up, and now we have different transactions for our mutual payments. So what we're going to do now is we're going to select all of this information. So public, the transactions here, and also the transactions here. We want to put them all into a single component. So you can either right click and make component, or you can create a component right up here. A lot of different ways to create a component. But the point is that this one is now back on our artboard because it's grouped or componentized, if that's a word, with other elements that are on the artboard, right? So here's our default state, which is our public state. And now we're going to create one more new state. And this is going to be mutual. There we go. And now that it's created and selected, all we have to do is move elements and design things differently, right? So I can dive in here. Mutual is going to bump up to 100%. Public down to 50. I'm just pressing the number keys on my keyboard. 5 means 50. Move this over. Stretch it out just a little bit. And we are going to just grab this one, move it over, and this one, move it over as well. Now again, we want to make sure the navigation bar is at the top. And now we have our two states. We've got our default state and our mutual state. So like we did in a previous challenge, we need to wire this up for prototyping. Rocky Road sounds really good, Joe. French vanilla ice cream sounds good. You're all making me hungry. And I can't eat most things. I'm undergoing medical testing. So I'm like on a very strict diet with no coffee and no nothing. It's just, It only lasts till tomorrow though. So tomorrow I'm eating everything. All right, so under prototype mode, we're gonna go ahead and click on mutual, just like that. And we're gonna click on the blue handle over to the right, boop, just like that. And we wanna go ahead and choose our destination. Now we only have one right now, so I'm gonna choose mutual. And auto animate is going to default as the type. And that's what we want. Now in other cases, you may not want auto animate. You can definitely switch it from auto animate to transition if you want to. Let's go for ease in and out and 0.4 seconds. We can also go to our second state, which is our mutual state, go back to public, click, and go to our default state. Aaron says tomorrow equals all the coffee. Yes. I think tomorrow after 11 o'clock, I'm gonna drink all the coffee all day. It's gonna be great. So here we go. We're gonna press play to launch our prototype, and I can go to mutual, and public, And what's cool is because the navigation bar, pineapple and pizza, yes, Joe, yes. Because the navigation bar is on top, it's a component, and it also has our state that we created. Doesn't matter which state we're on. I can also do that, but you probably don't want to, right? And I lost the close button for some reason on this. So what I can do here is I can just fix this. I'm gonna edit the main component. It's gonna pop it over here. There's the expanded state. I'm going to adjust my mask a little bit. There we go. So now in prototype mode, I can just click on this area in the back, or I can just click on anything to go to my default state. Perfect. So now over here, back here, whoop, up and down, I can click over here, and it's a good time, right? Now, what we can also do is wire up another screen to go to the profile, which I should probably name at the top, profile. So on this screen, the transactions, let's go ahead and find our bearded man, drag him into this one. He's Bob now. You know what? I should probably keep consistency. This is now Brad. Brad. There we go. Howard's only flaw, pineapple and pizza. I'm sorry. It's good. I like it. It's like a little bit of sweetness to your pizza. Now I want pizza. Pizza and ice cream. That sounds like a good time. All right, so from here, inside of this repeat grid, even though it's in a repeat grid, we can still wire it up. I can just drag this over to this artboard here. We don't need auto animate because nothing's really going to be animating. So I'm going to simply do a transition. Let's go no animation at all. And we want to make sure these ones are wired up as well. So this will go over to this artboard with a simple transition, and we should be good to go. Now what I'm noticing is I don't have the actual component over here. So I'm going to delete this, drag this over just like that. Prototype mode, drag this over. All right. So we have our home screen that we created on day number 5 of this challenge, week number 1 of this challenge, day number 1 of this week. And we can scroll through our chart. We've also got components and states hooked up over here, right? We have our navigation bar at the bottom, which opens up our payment or receiving section. We can go ahead and click into the wallet, or we can scroll through our transactions. And now we can also click on someone's name to go to their profile. Go to mutual and public, and we can also request and pay directly from here. So that is just about going to wrap it up. I would encourage you, as you're designing this, definitely share it in Discord or in Behance using the keyword XD Daily Challenge. You can even create a case study. If you want to create a case study, I did just wrap up my masterclass about an hour and a half ago, all about creating a case study using Adobe XD. Go back and watch that. It was pretty good, I think. There's some things I'm going to change, definitely. I'm going to do that over the weekend and publish it hopefully on Monday. So stay tuned for that. And you can also, if you want to share it for review, head up to share mode. You also want to make sure that in prototype mode you have the home icon selected, just like that. Go to share mode and you'll be able to publish all of these links. You can share it for review, get feedback from your friends. You can also, let me go ahead and create a link here. You can copy the embed code. So if you do want to embed this entire thing on Behance, you can do that as well by going right down here and copying the embed code. And speaking of sharing, in the August update coming soon, we're going to have multiple flows. So if you have, let me actually go ahead and open up a new document. If you have several different flows within your project, so maybe you have the low fidelity flows here and the high fidelity, and then you have a case study down here, right? You'll be able to have multiple multiple homes selected, right? And you'll be able to share multiple links. And you'll be able to group your artboards as you move them around, but you'll see more of this when the August update comes out. So that is just about going to do it. Big thank you to everyone who has joined me today and every day throughout this challenge. I really do appreciate it. Stay tuned for more challenges next week, and Kyle T. Webster is coming up in just a few minutes with some fantastic illustrations. So stick around for that, and I will see you all next time.